and welcome back to some more Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. But before we begin, we have something small to discuss. So, yesterday, as many of you are aware, we had an update or an announcement of the Nintendo Switch 2. I posted that community post right before, like 3-ish hours before the video that I had uploaded. That's fine, but I wanted to go into a tiny bit more detail on what I meant in the community post. Just a tiny bit more. So when I say that I'm not convinced, I don't mean that I don't like the idea of a new console. I do like the idea of a new console. However, for me, it really feels like they're just doing as minimally as they can with it. It really does. What I mean by that is not that I think Nintendo stinks or they're the worst company ever. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I am trying to say is we need to hold companies to a bigger standard. To a bigger and better standard when it comes to these game console releases. For instance, look at the PlayStation. They released a PS5 Pro, a machine that is a genuine, just an graphical upgrade. Nothing more, nothing less. It is just an upgrade. It's just another version of the PS5, but with better graphical stuff. And it didn't really sell well, did it? It didn't really go too well for them. They also charged it for like $700, and it doesn't have a disc drive. It's not the most interesting console. I have a PS5. I do. But what I'm trying to say here is that that's what I mean, is we have the PS5, but you have an example like the PS5 to the PS5 Pro, where the consoles themselves are not getting that much of an upgrade. Switch 1 and Switch 2, we'll see. We'll have to wait and see because we don't know everything yet. There's been leaks and leaks and leaks and leaks about the console itself, but we don't know whether or not the console is gonna be amazing or if it's gonna be just a pure upgrade from the Switch 2 to the Switch, from the Switch 1 to the Switch 2, or what have you, or the OG Switch to the Switch 2, however you want to state it. But to me, some of the stuff that I saw that I was like, that's kind of the bare minimum, is fixing how the Joy-Cons work, where like instead of them a slide-on snap system, it's a snap-on system, where you don't have to like slide them on and worry about breaking something. It's a snap-on where you snap them on and it looks really cool and slick. The console itself looks cool and slick. We definitely got a sneaky new Mario Kart game announcement while in that trailer, so that was cool. But the thing that bothered me the most, and I'm sorry that we're kind of taking a quick minute to talk about this instead of going in and doing the Pokemon playthrough, I wanted to touch on this for a second. The fact that they're doing backwards capability, that's cool, that's great, but how does that kind of work, you know? If you're going about doing backwards capability, that's not really that impressive. I'm happy they're doing it with the like idea of having it be backwards capability, but it's beep, beep, beep. Like it's a progression in it. I'm very happy with that, right? But the thing is, to me, personally, Nintendo Switch 2, and by extension, other consoles that have the backwards capability systems, I'm happy that they are letting you just have backwards capability from the get-go and you don't have to pay a specific tiered amount to get it. PlayStation. But again, it's one of those things, man, of like, I'm not convinced yet. It does depend on price, as it should for you. If you already have a Nintendo Switch OLED, and if you really don't want to spend the extra $400, $500, $600, don't. You don't have to. There's no reason to. Because what's the point of buying a whole new console, a whole new thing, just for it to be the same thing as always? Right? Like, there's no point. But, anyway, that aside, we're not going to talk about it any longer. We're going to get started on this. I do apologize again to be talking about it the entire time. I'm highly passionate about that console, about stuff like that. So, about things like that, because it does really boggle the brain. I just wish Nintendo would, I don't know, announce that they're stepping away from the handheld market and going into the console, going back to being a console maker and not just handheld plus. I would like that a lot, but that's just me. Anyway, enough. That's too negative. We're being far too negative about the small things. It's a small thing. Welcome to the Kanalave Library. We were told to come here many videos ago not from Candace, but from Cynthia, and we were also told by Barry to come here, and we only listened because Barry is here. And when Barry's here, we listen, I guess. Also, don't be that guy. If you see someone reading a book, and they're intent on reading that book, don't bother them. Don't do what I just did. Don't do that. That's just rude. Okay, nothing here yet. Go up a floor. Those are books warned from being read by many people. We're checking everything because there is something interesting here. Hello. Ah, this book is titled The Sea's Legend. It's a text that was only recently discovered and its ancient letters were decoded. Would you like to read it? Indeed I would. Once upon a time in the East Sea, there was a Pokémon known as the Prince. A brave human asked Pokémon living in the sea to let them see the Prince. Would you like to keep reading? Yes, indeed. Mantike, Weasel, and a Quillfish with huge spikes acknowledged the human's bravery and joined them. Together they set off in a boat over the sunset-streaked sea, sailing through an ocean gate stretched over the waves. Would you like to keep reading? Yes. News of this reached the ears of the prince, who went to meet the brave little party at the seaside hollow. So, when this game was released, it was released alongside knowing that Legends Arceus, the Gen 4, a game that sent us back in time into a preview of what Sinnoh looked like in the past. And Sinnoh used to be known as Hisui. This book, The Sea's Legend. The Sea's Legend is a hint to one of the missions inside that game. It allows you to catch Manaphy in the game, which we won't be going over because it's not available in this game. It is, but it isn't, but I'm not going to cover it because there's no point, because it was a mystery gift event that you can't get anymore, so what's the point? But, yeah, the Sea's Legend is a big part of that. You need Mantike, Weasel, and the evolved form of Hisuian Quillfish, which I am blanking on that name right now. I am actually blanking on it because I don't remember. Give me just 1 second. Overquill. Overquill. While I was looking it up, it's Overquill. That's a very interesting book. It's very interesting. Very interesting that it is that, but that's kind of a... When that was released, we didn't know much about Legends Arceus outside of it being a past, looking at the past. Well, when Legends Arceus came out, we all had to go back and read that book to figure out what to do. So that's really interesting that it involved 2 games, which was great. It was really cool. It looks like these are nothing else. Alright. Here we go. Hey, Tommy, over here, this way. Alright, Barry, here we go. Okay, Grams, I brought Tommy like I said, and now I'm out of here. Okay, I get it. Everyone's finally here. Listen up. You may have forgotten already, but I study the evolution of Pokemon. The more I study, the more mysteries appear and multiply. There are some Pokemon that evolve and others that don't. What makes them different from each other? Do immature ones evolve into ones that are more mature? If so, what do we make of the legendary Pokemon that don't evolve? Are we to assume legendary Pokemon of Sinnoh are complete as creatures? This is where you 3 come in. There is said to be a mysterious Pokemon in each of the 3 lakes of Sinnoh. If we can obtain data on them, it may shed some light on how the process of Pokemon evolution works. I need help from each of you on this grand undertaking. Help me find these mysterious Pokemon. What are you saying? I didn't get a Pokedex. And who was it that bolted from the lab before I had a chance to give them one? But that's water under the bridge. Seeing Pokemon with your own eyes is important for you in becoming a better trainer too. You can count on me. I will help with my Pokedex too. I mean, you will go too, won't you? I would have made all 3 of you go regardless. Now then, there are the 3 lakes. Fortuitously, there are 3 of you. You should split up and investigate the lakes individually. Dawn, you go to Lake Faraday. Will do. Barry, I want you to investigate Lake Acuity. That'll take you almost to Snowpoint City. The road is harsh. I need a tough trainer to go. Oh, yeah, of course, Grams. You know how you call it. You know how to call it. You can tell I'm the hotness. Ew. And that leaves Tommy with Lake Valor. I guess between Veilstone and Pastoria, if memory serves. Kaboom! Has it stopped? Are you rolling hot? Let's go outside, but be careful. I'm concerned about the city. I'm just gonna stay here. So I mean, hurry, but it'll be. But what about the shucks? Yeah, I'm not leaving. So, in this room, we have some books about myths and legends. We're gonna go over these. This is gonna be the video today, by the way. I was planning on doing a bunch of reading of the lore. We kind of got on a tangent about the Nintendo Switch, but that's okay. This book is titled Sinnoh Myth. Would you like to read it? Indeed. Sinnoh Myth. Betray not your anger, lest will come. Weep not with sorrow, or will draw near. When joy and enjoyment come as natural as the very air that is happiness, let such be blessed by the hand of Master Blank. It was custom to speak those words. This book is titled Sinnoh Region's Mythology. Would you like to read it? Long ago, when Sinnoh had just been made, Pokemon and humans led separate lives. That's not to say they did not help each other. No, indeed they did. They supplied each other with goods and supported each other. A Pokemon proposed to the others to always be ready to help humans. They asked that Pokemon be ready to appear before humans always. Thus to this day, Pokemon appear to us if we venture into tall grass. Interesting. This book is titled Sinnoh's Myth. 3 Pokemon there were. Into the lakes they dove deep, deep, drawing their breath. Deeper, deeper they dove, into suffocating depths they dove. Deeper than deepest they all alight from the lake floor they rise. Bearing with them the power to make vast lands they rise again. Interesting. Balestone's Myth. A young man, callow and foolish in innocence, came to own a sword. With it he smote Pokemon, which gave sustenance with carefree abandon. Those not taken as food he discarded with no afterthought. The following year no Pokemon appeared. Larders grew rare. Would you like to keep reading? Indeed. The young man seeking the missing Pokemon journeyed afar. Long did he search, and far and wide too, until one day he found. Yeah, asked he, why did you hide? To which the Pokemon replied, you bear your sword to bring harm upon us with claws and fangs, we will exact a toll. From your kind we will take our toll, for it must be done. Done it must be guard ourselves, and for it I apologize. Would you like to keep reading? To the skies the young man shouted in his dismay, and having found the sword I have lost so much. Gorged with power I grew blind to Pokemon being alive. I will never fall savage again, the sword I denounce and forsake. I plead for forgiveness, for I was but a fool. So saying, the young man hurled the sword into the ground, snapping it. Seeing that the Pokemon disappeared to a place beyond seeing. Interesting. All very interesting. We're going to keep going. This ancient book is titled The Original Story. In the beginning, there was only churning turmoil of chaos. At the heart of chaos, where all things became one, appeared an egg. Having tumbled from the vortex, the egg gave rise to the Original One. Would you like to keep reading? From itself, 2 beings the Original One did make. Time started to spin and space began to expand. From itself, 3 living things the Original One did. 3 living things the Original One did make. Would you like to keep reading? 2 beings wished, and from them matter came to be. And 3 living things wish, and from them came to be. Spirit came to be. World created, the Original One took to unyielding sleep. Interesting. Horrific myth. Look not into the Pokemon eyes. For in an instant you'll have no recollection of who you are. Return home, but how? When there is nothing to remember. Dare not touch the Pokemon's body. But in but 3 short days, all emotions will drain away. Above all, harm not the Pokemon. In a scant 7 days, the offender will grow immobile in entirety. We're going to skip the folk stories, but you get the idea. Sinnoh is covered in head to toe with myth. It is covered in mythology and legend. Whoa, that tremor. That wasn't a natural occurrence. Hey, old guy. Hey, old... kinda predicted that. Hey, old dude and kids. Something big just happened. They're saying there was a huge explosion in Lake Falla. Kaboom! Like that. Okay, great. Gramps, I'm going to the lake. I have a bad feeling about this. What are you, a Star Wars character? That bear can't sit still. I'm worried about Lake Falla. However, I have no idea what is taking place. You must find out. Before you go, I can't stress this enough. Don't get it over your head. We'll try to join you as soon as we inspect Lake Falla. You'll be okay, won't you, Tommy? We'll be fine. What's the worst that could happen? Let's go to Veilstone. And I think that about does it for the episode. I'm not going to cover what those myths mean, by the way. Not until later. We don't really have a good way of explaining those myths until we get to a certain part in the game. So, we won't be covering it right now. So, I will see you all next time on Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. See y'all later.